Imagine looking at a satellite image of Earth scrolling over the African continent, then zooming in on Madagascar. Amidst the lush greens and mountainous terrain, a perfectly round dark spot emerges strange, massive, and unmarked, 13 kilometers wide. Roads seem to bend around it as if avoiding something ancient and powerful. It looks like a scar left by some colossal impact. But as you zoom in closer, you spot something even stranger. A village nestled in the heart of the crater. No name, no tags, not even a proper road leading there. Just a small community hidden in the middle of nowhere. Why would anyone choose to live here, in one of the most isolated and geologically unusual places on the planet? That was the question that launched a journey, digital and physical, across the island of Madagascar, and 90 million years back in time. Madagascar isn't just another island. It's one of the most biologically diverse regions on Earth. 90% of its wildlife is found nowhere else. Lemurs, baobab trees, carnivorous plants, the kind of biodiversity that can evolve without millions of years of isolation. But this isn't a story about animals or jungles. This is a story about one spot, the Ambohiby Massif. From space, it looks like a forgotten wound on the surface of Earth. Dark, circular, perfect, mysterious. When we looked closely, we saw something impossible, a village inside that crater. Not near it inside, but Google Maps offered little. There was no name, no label, no mention in travel blogs, just rooftops clustered inside the heart of a dead volcano. And here's the strange part. It wasn't always there. Zoom back through years of satellite data and the village disappears. One year there are houses, the year before nothing, like it materialized out of nowhere around 2008. Why would people move into an extinct volcano? Who were they? What did they know that the rest of the world didn't? We started our hunt the way anyone would online. Social media, location tags, Google Earth overlays, Twitter searches. But what we found was bizarre. The few tags near the mountain were references to the anime Attack on Titan, written in Russian. There were fake businesses, joke geotags, and zero actual information. Churches and hospitals appeared on the map, but had no presence outside of it. It was as if the village existed in some digital no man's land. Until finally we found a trace, a nonprofit worker who had posted from a nearby town in 2014. We messaged him. Nothing. Dead end. Instagram, a Stay 1-8 organization, posted photos of Antanaditra, the closest town. They said they'd never been on the mountain. YouTube, same thing, a geotagged video, more anime content. It became clear that to uncover the truth, we'd have to leave the internet behind. That's when we found Lali, a filmmaker and fixer based in Madagascar's capital, Antananarivo. She had connections, gear, and the courage to make the journey. Lali assembled a team: Tusina the guide, Haja the historian, Vahambola the fixer, Jose the driver. Their goal: reach the crater and make contact with the people inside. But nature had other plans. As they ascended the final stretch by motorcycle and foot, a monsoon rolled in torrential rain. Mudslides, zero visibility. The team had to turn back just steps from the rim. It would be 4 months before the rainy season ended, time we would use to learn more. Our next clue came not from villagers but from rocks. We stumbled upon a 2012 scientific paper mapping Madagascar's underground structures using seismic tomography like an MRI for the Earth. On the map was a circular anomaly, perfectly round, lined up exactly with the crater. The Ambohiby Massif. According to geological surveys, this structure dated back 90 million years. Volcanic, formed during the breakup of the supercontinent Gondwana when India tore away from Madagascar. We contacted Silavo Rahari Mahefa, a geologist from Madagascar. He confirmed it an extinct volcanic ring complex, older than Mount Everest. The crater wasn't a result of a meteor. It was Earth's own fury frozen in time. But why would anyone move there? Layli's January expedition had failed, but the footage she sent showed something remarkable. Streams trickling from the crater-rich green fields and a deep bowl of land protected from winds. The crater wasn't just scenic, it was practical. In fact, a 1933 French colonial report called the highest part of the Massif Mangatsiaka, or the place where we find fresh water. It made sense. In an overpopulated agricultural economy, water meant life. Elevation meant cooler temperatures and moisture retention. The ringed walls protected crops from erosion. This crater wasn't a mystery, it was a lifeboat. In May, once the rains had ended, Layli returned, this time with a new crew filmmaker, Rado Andrea Manisa, local guide Johari, and fresh determination. As they ascended the Massif, the landscape transformed. Pineapple vendors dotted the trails, villagers carried baskets of produce, rice paddies stretched into valleys. Then came the climb, a full day's hike through jungle and loose rock. Finally, they reached the rim, inside the village. Not just a few homes, dozens of houses, livestock, fruit trees, children, families. But the reception wasn't warm. Locals were wary. They thought the crew were spies. For hours, negotiations stalled. Then a breakthrough, an elder agreed to talk. The villagers called it Anosibe Ambohiby, the big island of Ambohiby. They had migrated from Menandriana over 380 kilometers away in the Amoroni-Mania region. Their people, the Betsaleo, are Madagascar's third largest ethnic group. They came not for mystery or secrecy, but for space. In Menandriana, farmland was scarce. In Siroanamandidi, the nearest city to the crater population density is 49 km. In Menandriana, it's over 100 km. These were farmers. They needed land. And in this abandoned crater, they found a paradise. The villagers planted citrus groves, oranges, lemons, limes to sell in distant markets. But there was a problem: transportation. To reach Antanaditra, they had to carry crates of fruit down the mountain by foot. In Madagascar, fewer than 12% of rural residents live within 2 kilometers of a year-round road. Anosibe Ambohiby's struggle was part of a national crisis: isolation, poverty, and resilience. Yet despite the odds, they thrived. They built homes, planted trees, raised children, all inside a crater no one outside had ever heard of. When Layli returned, she shared a moment with us. Footage from the rim, the exact same view we had first seen from satellite. It was surreal. What began as a dot on a map had become a real place, full of stories, full of people. And yet, even after all this, there's barely a record of Anosibe Ambohiby online. But that's changing. With one video, one article, one visit, we bring light to a hidden world. The crater is no longer a mystery, it's a home. The lesson of Anosibe Ambohiby isn't just about geology or geography. It's about how little we know about the world and how much there still is to discover. It's about resilience, migration, and the quiet brilliance of people who carve out a life in the harshest conditions. Sometimes the answers we seek aren't online. They're in the soil, in the air, in the voices of people who've been overlooked. So next time you zoom in on a strange crater or a nameless patch of green, ask yourself what stories lie hidden here. Because somewhere there's a village in a crater, and it's more alive than we ever imagined.